Worries, I'm like, well, worries are fear. Okay, yeah, that's it.
So first of all, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. The last class, I have to really switch gears here because the last class was extremely active. We did a few advanced poses at the end, and I led into the practice with the forecast and review of what's predicted for 2024 according to numerology, an ancient science, according to astrology, another ancient science, and according to some of the psychic medium channelers that I follow. So we talked about that for a good half hour before we did our practice. And this is not meant to be that practice for you. This is going to be on the opposite end of the spectrum. So what I want you to experience is an easeful entrance into this year by doing a little gentle movement, by doing a few restorative poses, and then absorbing some sound meditation. So you're going to get a completely different experience in the last group. I would like to say that as you move forward into this year, as with any year, lots of times the year is going to depend on the attitude that we start the year with. And so I'm hopeful that you are feeling optimistic and encouraged, despite things that are happening in the world, because I think we've had to learn to do that, especially since 2020. And the only thing I'll say, according to the forecast is concerned, astrology had been saying 2020 to 2024 is the collapse of the world as we know it. 2024 to 2028 are the growing pains of what we're building for the future. So this year, 2024, is supposed to be as big as 2020, just in different ways. So stay optimistic, stay hopeful, and the biggest lesson that we can take with us from our yoga practice is to trust. To trust and to let go and to go with the flow of what's coming, and to be as neutral as possible, and to hold as much light and love as possible. To be the instrument of peace that we want to see in the world. That is the biggest thing that we can hold ourselves responsible for in this year, because we're not in control of the weather. We're not in control of the planetary shifts and changes, and we're not in control of the political arena. So we might as well hone in on ourselves and develop the peace that passeth all understanding. That's the job for us as a yogi. So with sound meditation, I want to talk about that really quick before we get into our practice. I have been doing, oh, I forgot one of my instruments. I have been doing one. Do you mind? It's in that box. You don't mind taking it out of the box. It's going to make all kinds of noise, but.
I'm not sure.
So I've been doing sound meditations for 20 years. And my first sound meditation I ever did was a gong bath. And it was 6 or 8. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. The gongs were different sizes, and they were set up in different places, and there were 6 to 8 of them. And there was this gentleman, his name was Richard Height, and he was traveling around the country in his RV, him and his wife. And they had come through Nashville, and they were meeting at the Quaker Meeting House, which is a great space when it's emptied out to hold something like that. And whenever he would pass through town, I would go to his sound baths. And then a few years after that, I saw someone was doing a sound bath in Nashville with metal or Himalayan singing bowls. And then eventually I discovered the crystal singing bowls. And before 2020 hit, there was only 3 yoga studios in all of Nashville who even offered sound meditation. Hackman was one of them. Now, since 2020, it's exploded. So I don't know if you've noticed, but there are sound baths and sound meditations everywhere around town. There's even people that are setting up locations that are just for sound meditation. There's places popping up in, the Joshua Tree area, the desert area, in Sedona, that are specifically and solely for sound baths. It's just really grown. But Richard Haidt, the gentleman that I was telling you that I got introduced to sound baths with, he had been doing this for years, since the 1970s. Since the 70s, he was educating us. He was doing this in Seattle. He was doing this in Texas. He was working with groups in hospitals to discover how sound meditation could enhance and accelerate healing. And I just love that he was a part of all these scientific experiments. And even though it revealed this and everything, all the boxes were checked, I don't know why it didn't explode in the 70s, but it's exploding now. And I think it's a great thing. If you are into ancient civilizations, ancient aliens, any of these, like in the History Channel and the Gaia TV, they'll talk about these ancient civilizations that had better technology in some ways than what we have today. And one of their technologies that they used, and it wasn't really technology like the internet, but it was sound healing. And they're even still doing this in a place in Tibet. This has been carried on for years and years and generations of sound healing. Now, it also takes you as a participant, because just hearing and absorbing the sound isn't going to, boom, heal you. It also requires what I mentioned is important for you being entered into this new year. What's your attitude going to be? Where are you energetically? Where are you emotionally? And how are you going to be receiving it? So receive it as a healing treatment, but also remember, we still have to be responsible and do the inner work. So let's go ahead and begin sitting on a bolster. And I'm going to dim these lights. It's a more gentle class. Is that okay for everyone? Now I want us to just start off with our sits bones sliding to the edge of the bolster so that we feel this little natural pelvic tilt forward, and let your hands rest somewhere on the lap. Roll the shoulders up towards your ears, and then exhale, roll them down and back. Good, inhale, rolling forward and up. Good, and exhale, down and back. This is simple, gentle movement, but it's very effective for the shoulders. So years ago, I heard about frozen shoulders hitting more women than men between the ages of 40 and 60. And last week, I just read an article that they think it ties in with menopause. So I'm going into menopause myself. So these simple shoulder rolls can help to prevent frozen shoulders. But also notice the next time you roll the shoulders down and back, keep them there. But notice how it broadened your collarbones, how it opened up your chest, and maybe brought a little bit more buoyancy to the heart. Now close your eyes. And just sit and do a little mental inventory of what's showing up in your body today. You can take it from the top down, you can bring it from the feet up. Just noticing where something may be a little skewed or a little off. or a little dull. And equally noticing the places that feel vibrant, open, free. And then start to develop a deep yogic breath. And as you're developing this yogic breath, I want you to place your hands to your abdomen. Sitting with your spine extended, breathing in and out through the nose. Every time we inhale, notice if your belly swells. If your belly's pulling in as you breathe in, you're doing nose breathing instead of diaphragmatic breathing. So to do diaphragmatic breathing, this diaphragm muscle expands on the in-breath, contracts on the out-breath. So the belly should be ballooning as you inhale, deflating on the exhale. So we're going to work into what's called a 3-part yogic breath. It's a little different than diaphragmatic, but we begin with diaphragmatic breath. Once you have this movement down in your core, we're going to slide the hands to the side body and a little bit higher so that we're resting on the base ribs. And now, not acknowledge your side body expanding as you inhale. And it retracting back towards your center on the exhale. This is the second part of the 3-part yogic breath. Once you have this, bring your hands so they're resting right above your chest, the fingertips pointed towards your throat, and let your elbows flop. Now feeling the rise of the chest as you breathe in, and that sinking or dissension as you breathe out. So we're still filling up the belly. We're still expanding the side ribs as the chest lifts. Now place your hands to your lap. We're going to continue practicing the 3-part yogic breath without the hands. So continue to fill up your belly, your side body, and your chest. And then as you exhaust the lungs, relax and soften your chest, your side body, and core. And try to imagine that your lower portion of your body is tethered to the ground like a hot air balloon basket that's tethered to the earth, awaiting for the balloon to get filled up with that hot air. Let's take 8 more breaths. Conscious breath work, meditation. is one of the greatest gifts we can give to ourselves. These two can help us to be more sane, more sound in mind and body, and can help us to navigate the shifts and changes in life. Now that you've been sitting and breathing and giving yourself this medicinal treatment, open the eyes, come away from your bolster, slide it away, and you're going to come to a tabletop position. Now, we're not going to stay in tabletop. This is just kind of setting us up for the next pose. Because what I'm going to ask you to do is to tuck and curl the toes underneath and then press back away from your hands. So you're sitting back towards your heels. And after that, glide your hands more forward, but keep your elbows off the floor and gently bow your head. Now, if it's too much to touch the brow to your mat, you don't have to. It's okay for the forehead to hover above the floor. Spread out your hands. Feel that gentle stretch in the underside of the arms, into the pits of the arms. Notice the space that you're creating in between each vertebra. The pressure at the toes as we open up the fascia or the soles of the feet. And this gesture we're doing with our body, that can be a sign of humility, reverence. On your next in-breath, rock forward and keep your hands as is, shoulder distance apart, but you're going to lift your knees off the floor and sail the hips up and back to downward facing dog, stretching out the limbs and back. And let's go ahead and bend the right knee and sink the left heel. And then let's reverse that, walking it to the other side, bending the left knee, stretching out through the right calf and heel. And just walk the dog several times back and forth. Now let's travel the hands back towards the toes. Allow the heels to land to the sticky mat. Continue to fold in half and bow down. Distributing the weight evenly between the heels and the balls of the feet. Letting the arms and head and neck dangle freely. Softening the knees if that feels better for your body, whether that's your hamstrings or low back. And on your next inhale, circle the arms to your sides, up overhead. Lace your fingers at the top. Spin your palms to face the ceiling. Good. And root down through the mound of the big toes. Reach up through the heel of your hands. Feel the muscles waking up in your back body. Feel as though you are a conduit between the heavens and the earth, that light is shining down and through you. Good, one more deep breath. As you exhale, release your hands, let your right arm fall to the side. Turn your left hand to face down as you sway over to Chandrasana. Good, inhale, lift that right arm, turn your left hand out, lower it down, and lean to that side. Beautiful. All right, inhale, build both arms up, bring the palms together and gaze up towards your hands. Exhale, bring your hands down the middle, hinge forward and fold. Walk your hands out in front of you, come down to knees, tabletop position with the feet untucked this time. Good. So with your wrists below the head of the shoulder bones, your knees back below the hips, I want you to rock your body forward towards your fingertips. And then slightly rock back towards your hips. Nothing so dramatic. Just subtle, shifting forward on the inhale and shifting back on the exhale. So if you want to be more dramatic and bold with your movement, you're welcome to, but I'm just keeping it simple and gentle. Flattening the palms. Good. Now start to circle to the left, over towards the fingertips, off to the right, back towards the hips. So if you're lacking strength or flexibility in your hands, wrists, or developing some carpal tunnel stuff, it's important that we work with the hands, that we work with the forearms. Now that you're circling this way, it's okay to be a little bit more whimsical if you wish, as if you were rolling around inside of a barrel, so your arms don't have to stay stiff. You can bring in little undulations here and there. There's no right or wrong. So if you're thinking, well, I don't look like that, it doesn't matter. All right, come back to center. And then we're going to circle off to the right, over towards the fingertips, back to the left, slightly behind towards the hips. And you can just keep it simple like this, just circle. Or if you want to be a little bit more whimsical, you can add in some freestyle movement. Again, there's no right or wrong with this. There's no specific structure or instruction here. Just seeing how we can free up the body a little bit. Good, come back to center. Take one of your blocks and you're gonna bring it in between your feet and sit on it. And then if your knees are like, with or without a block, this isn't happening, don't worry about it. You can sit cross-legged or with your legs straight. So don't feel like you're having to force this, please. All right, we're gonna take the arms in front, we're gonna create fists, and we're gonna rotate the wrists. And then we're gonna bring the back of the hands together and then turn your fingers in towards your heart, up towards your chin. Yeah. And then place your index and thumbs together. That's an actual mudra for wisdom. But we're going to create a different mudra by rolling the hands forward, back to the wrist, now to the thumbs, fingers point down, and then turn up to the heart and chin. Yep, it's just a rolling action. And this is called the flowing lotus hand mudra. And so it's a great counter for the hands after the weight bearing that we were just doing. And it's pretty and it's fun. Good, now shake out your hands. And this is where we're gonna bring the bolster in front of us. So what we're gonna do, just so you know, a little movement into stillness, a little movement into stillness, and then the sound. So bring the bolster between your legs. Big toes together. And please let me know if this doesn't work out for you. Check in with your bolster. Have the zipper side down on the floor. And when you're ready, walk and descend and rest on your right cheek. So we're basically coming into a child's pose. Please let me know if you need an alternative and I can create something different for you. And then we're going to do a couple cleansing breaths. So take a deep breath in through your nose and then audibly exhale through the mouth. After the cleansing breaths, You can swallow if needed. You can even keep the lips slightly apart if you tend to hold tension in your jaw. We're just melting down into the froth. Closing the eyes, going within. Maybe even sensing whether or not you can experience movement in your low back, mid back, or upper back. It's not that you're necessarily trying to do the 3-part yogic breath, but just see, where do you feel expanding in your back body as you breathe? I specifically asked you to rest in one sheet, but we need to balance the stretch in the neck. So on your next inhale, lift your head. As you exhale, swap and turn to the other cheek. Notice if you feel more or less resistance on this side. And take a couple cleansing breaths to settle back in. Breathing in through the nose. And audibly allow the breath to escape through the nose. Then watch the breath naturally ebb and flow. And listen to the affirmation, follow the affirmation, or internally recite the affirmation. And relax now from all outer involvements into my own inner haven of peace.
Slide the hands closer. Press down the palms to lift away. We're going to slide the bolster out. Slide the thighs to be parallel. Come forward back into tabletop position. Where we inhale, come to cow. And we exhale, move to cat. Inhale, dip the belly. Open the chest and throat. And then as you exhale, contract your core and arch through the shoulders. And just move and sync with your breath. After your next cat stretch, where you're rounding out, you're going to soften your back, step your hands a baby step beyond where they are, curl the toes, come back to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Try to push down to the balls of the feet so your heels are up. And you're reaching the tailbone up as high as possible. And then exhale, come back down to your knees. And we're going to shift onto our seats. Legs are crossed in front of us. And the hands are going to lace together at the heart. Your palms are going to press forward. And then the arms are going to lift overhead, similar to what we did standing. Except now we're going to cup the backside of the skull. You got it. And your heart's going to lift, and you're going to lean your head back into your hands. And as you exhale, pull the belly in, round the back, let your elbows flop. So don't pull your head here. Inhale, blossom, open, gaze up. Exhale, contract, rounds, and draw in. Two more. This time when you come up, your feet separate as wide as your mat. Your hands cup your shins. A seated form of cat-cow. The head drops and then lifts as your knees widen. And then as you exhale, your knees will narrow a little bit. Your arms stretch and your chin tucks. So I know some of you were in my class a few weeks ago, and I talked about my son being in a bad car accident. And I had taken him to a gentle class, and he was like, let's just do restorative. And but then I thought better of it. I was like, well, it's okay to restore. He needs to move a little bit because he had been really sore in his chest and back, and he couldn't even do this simple maneuver that we're doing now. But after one chiropractic adjustment, he felt better. So even though we can't see what's happening on the inside of the body, we know our body's better than anyone else. And it's important that we speak up when something's not right. And then we can try to do different avenues to figure out how we become misaligned and bring the alignment back. Good. When you come all the way back up, we're going to take the feet, cross them again. We're going to do one more active pose. So lift your chest, twist to your right. Take your left hand and hold your right leg somewhere. Set your right hand behind your back and twist. From your lower back and belly to your mid back, the chest, Your shoulders and neck. Good, exhale, unwind, but go ahead and cross to the other side. So the right hand's gonna switch over to the left knee, left hand stacks behind you, and then twist through your low back and belly, through your mid back and chest, through your shoulders and your neck. And then exhale. Roll up it. Nice. Now we're going to move into a restorative back bend. So you can set your bolster on your mat. Now, something that you might enjoy with your blanket. You might enjoy the blanket being under your head. You might enjoy the blanket rolled up and tucked under your knees. You may enjoy unfolding the blanket and completely covering up. And something that I really enjoy is just stacking it for a little bit of weight over the belly, over the rim of the pelvis, front of the thighs, because I find it to be grounding and comforting. So you can experiment with those different options. Again, make sure the zipper sides turn down, bolster. Settle in your body. Softening the muscles. Softening even your facial expressions. Let's try going back a little bit. And see what you find. Now again, you don't have to control your breath. But notice if you feel the belly swelling naturally as you inhale, perhaps tuning in to your side ribs expanding with your lungs, and perhaps your chest rising and falling. Consider all the beautiful attributes of the heart. And imagine it's coming out like a fountain. Spraying love, compassion, empathy, forgiveness, kindness, and tender love and care.
begin to deepen from our breath. And once you do that, you can add in a little movement to your hands and feet. You can bend the knees even, rock from side to side. We're going to set up for another restorative pose for the sound bath. So if you turn over to one side of your body, I would suggest the head towards the center of the circle and the feet facing the wall. Does anyone wear a hearing aid in here? No? Yes? Okay. So if the sound bath, if it's too much ringing with your hearing aid, I've had a couple people give me feedback, and some hearing aids are easy to take out, some aren't. But the ones that are easily removable, they have found that that's actually a better experience for them. So it's not as strong. But I'll let you determine that according to your experience. Anybody else sensitive to sound? Okay. So there's two ways that I would suggest setting up. One way, I'm going to show you from this direction to see if you have a visual. You can have your two blocks stationed together and your bolster over the top. Of course, my feet would be the other way, but then this gives you some padding underneath your legs. If you prefer more of an inversion, like Stonehenge, you could stack up your blocks, your bolster, and prop your legs on top. But again, I would have the feet facing out and the head to the middle of the circle. So you can even experiment with those two options to see what feels best in your body today. Oh yes, blankets. I put extras in case you wanted a second. I'm so sorry, Cindy, you reminded me. I grabbed some extra in case you wanted a second one, maybe for underneath your head, like a pillow, and another one to cover your body. So feel free. Grab or I'll bring one to you if you prefer. Several of you have a couple anyway. But yeah, it's nice for the head. Read this. Well, yes. Is this for your head? This is for my head and Megan. Oh, sure. Give me a cold. Are you guys cold? Do you want more meat? Yes. Okay. I think it just kicked on, but pick it up a notch because I know. Strong. Give you a minute to settle in.
Just beware. And Satan. And what we've been exploring today. The ebb, flow of breath. The expansion to contraction, and the contraction to the expansion. The movement to stillness, to movement, to stillness. Sound to silence, silence to sound. Let's deepen the flow of our breath. As you align with your breath, you can awaken your body. You can curl it in. If you're flat on your back. If you have space around you, you can even swish the body side to side. Turning over to one. Finding your bolster to sit on as you come up. Sitting attentively, but with the eyes closed. You find some days it takes shorter or longer to get to a meditative space. And try not to look at either as being good or bad. Drop the judgment. Just know that it's always beneficial for the mind, for the body, for the spirit. Join our hands together to prayer. And I want to leave you with these words of inspiration. We are all here for a reason, and we've chosen to be here at this time. As we move forward into this year, let's remind ourselves that we are co-creators, trailblazers, bridge makers, light workers, light bodies, lovers, not fighters. Nothing is more important right now than to raise and lift our awareness and consciousness. So when the world gets loud, get silent. When you experience any life storms, find your center. When you see drama playing out, see if you can find some neutrality. The light that we carry inside will be seen by others. So let's illuminate ourselves to be a graceful, influential presence. Not clinging to what was, but embracing what is. Being willing to receive the light and to trust and surrender in divine order and plan.
Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you all for showing up and doing the little movements, restoring yourself. Which is a great thing to do in the winter months. And we're also ending that Mercury retrograde, good time to restore. And thank you for reading in the new year with me. I hope you all have a beautiful, prosperous new year.